another package. What's going on YouTube? In today's video, I want to help you understand the cost of getting the RED KOMODO ready to shoot. As I talked about in my last video, the money that I spent was purely just on the body. And of course, you need accessories to get this camera started. But before we get started, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can be notified when I drop more videos. Now in the case of the Komodo, the accessories are much cheaper than other RED cameras. But if you're coming from a mirrorless camera, the batteries, the media, and other accessories can seem very pricey. But we're gonna start with the accessories that I've purchased so far. And these are just what I recommend, things that I've purchased. But you can go look around, figure out how you like your camera setup and what makes best for you. But I just wanna help you get an understanding and kind of a pricing of how much you're gonna spend on additional accessories to add to your body. This camera is still kind of being worked into my productions. So I kind of bought the basics. First off, because I wanted to make sure I got the camera in because there was a lot of back arting going on. But now that I've got it, I'm planning on adding the accessories that I need. But the first few things that I bought, or the first thing that I bought was batteries. Without batteries, you're not gonna get this camera started. It doesn't come with batteries unless you order them with them. And me, I chose to go with some of the Wasabi, I think they're called, batteries. And they're basically an off-brand version of Canon BP 955s. And I bought a second set of the 970s. So with the 955s, I think you get about 15 to, let me not quote, I'm gonna add the stats in the bottom somewhere of what you get for these batteries. Those are the two sets of batteries that I went with to get started. And now that you have power, you're gonna need media. And I actually went with the company that actually makes media for RED, Angelbird. I went with two 256s because I wanna be able to offload footage. If I'm in the middle of a shoot, I can fill up one 256 and then offload while shooting on the other one. They do make a 512 or 1 terabyte. You choose what's best for you. I recommend having multiple cards. One problem could be fail safe, and also for when you transfer media. With RED RAW, you can fill up media fast. Even in ProRes, you'll get about an hour in ProRes off of 256, 38 minutes of RED RAW 6K in a 256. So choose wisely on your memory cards, but I would recommend Angelbirds. There are other companies that make RED media that's approved. You can kind of go on RED user site and they'll tell you some recommended or best things to use. Now, some media will give you warning when you put it in, but you could take your chance with that. If you've seen it on RED user, then that means someone's used it before. So I would say that'd be your best route to go to figure out what's the best options for you other than having to buy Angelbird. Now I will say, being that Angelbird is one of the solid makers, it's your best bet to go, because when you're on set, the last thing you want to happen is you have a card fail. I mean, that's the footage for your production. So make sure to find the best memory card to use with this. Okay, for me, it's about options. So I've also bought the power cable to go out to D-tap. This is the LEMO to D-tap. This is to help me if I want to mount bigger batteries for longer days, for if I'm doing docs or big productions, I don't want to have to keep turning the camera off. I can run these into a V mount, gold mount, any type of big, bulky battery that can give me 3 to 4 hours of battery life. So I would recommend getting this. And this cable wasn't as bad price as I thought. And some of you guys may have used power cables like this to go to your A7S3s or your Canon Rs, but I would recommend getting this as a second battery backup, definitely when you're on a bigger rig on sticks. Now this is for my mirrorless guys. Usually we're used to HDMI. Well, on the RED Komodo, there's no HDMI outputs. There's only SDI. So this is very new to me. Most of my monitors are SDI. So when going into a monitor unit, SDI cable. This is another purchase I made. This is what you're gonna need. And also bringing me to the point of monitors. The things that I haven't purchased yet that I'm still looking at because I wanna choose and figure out what works best for me. So I may end up renting some things, trying out some things, but over and all, I'm looking at how I want this cage to set up for me on set. And like I said, monitors are one of the things. I come from mirrorless cameras, and also the only cinema camera I had was the Blackmagic Pocket 4K, which they all have HDMI out monitors. So with this camera, it's gonna be SDI, which I prefer. It's the industry standard. It's a lot more reliable. It locks so the cable won't slip out, and it's actually faster. So for me, I'm looking at the small HD monitor. The reason I say the small HD monitor is because they're industry standard. Most people recommend them. Whenever I'm out on bigger sets, this is what they're using. The color quality, the assistance, focus peaking, zebras, that's all built into the monitors. They're reliable. That's what people go with. Not saying that there's other monitors that you can go with. This is just what I recommend and what I'm going with. The biggest thing for me right now is figuring out size. So there are a couple options. You can go with the Focus, which is the smaller version, 5-inch, perfect for people who's running gun, documentary style, or you have the 7-inch version. The prices are very different, so you get to choose. Like I say, for me, I'm still picking. I'll be making a decision in the next few days and then giving y'all a video when I get that monitor in. And for my last accessory, and I think this one is gonna take me a little bit. I think I'm gonna bump my head and have to buy multiple on this because I'm not sure what I want exactly, but it is gonna be the cage. So I've really been looking a lot at the tilter cage. I love the tilter cage that comes with the gold mount back, the handles and all those things. I feel like it's one kit that's very good price and has everything you need. But I'm also thinking of long-term build out, how much I can mount on there and what makes sense. So it has me looking at some different options. I know Small Rigs makes one, which I'm looking at, and I'm really ready to see the bright tangerine RED Komodo cage come out, which hasn't been released yet, but I'm hearing a lot of talking about it. The reason I'm thinking them because I do like a lot of their other accessories, which I plan on getting a matte box for this. And some of the rails. So those are a few cages that I'm looking at, but I haven't made a decision. As soon as I do, I will give you guys a video on that. Talking about lenses, most of my lenses was already EF. I've came from Canon. I shoot on Canon still. It's more like my vlogging camera and when I do photos. So with the RED Komodo comes the EF mount, RF to EF adapter. So with my Canon lenses, they're already ready to go. Another good thing with some of the Canon lenses, you do get autofocus. I have had an issue seeing that some of my lenses, like this 16-35, the autofocus doesn't work as well, but my 100-meter macro and my 50 works pleasant with the autofocus in the RED Komodo. But I would say if you're coming from anything other than EF, then you're gonna have to purchase a different mount. A RF to, if you're Sony, it's gonna be an E mount. If it's micro for thirds, you may have to figure out that. And for most people, it's gonna be the RF to PL mount if you're doing cinema lenses. I almost forgot this one accessory that I've been back and forth on. Not sure if we're gonna buy this, but I wanted to mention it. It's gonna be the outrigger handle, which is made by RED. It gives you a record button and a handle on the side. I think it's a pretty cool handle. I'm thinking about getting it because when shooting with the RED, it is fine to hold it like this, but when I get ready to walk away, I have to figure a way to grip it. I think that handle would just give me an extra option. Now with that said, the reason I haven't made a decision because some of the cages that I've talked about comes with handles and they're pretty nice. I mean, I've used the tilter one on the RED Komodo and it feels really good. I know GUD or GDU company makes a nice handle. So there's plenty options you can check out. Or if you were to get a top handle, that could be your option. But I think the outrigger is a good accessory, something you should also look into. So if you have any questions, make sure to leave a comment or message me on Instagram. I'll get back to you. Remember, these are my recommendations that I purchased for my setup. And I will be dropping a follow-up video about these accessories. So make sure to stay tuned. See you on the next one.